welcome to another Degas fishing video. It's the glorious 16th of June. Now I love the start of the season. I love all the planning, all the preparation, all the anticipation and the build up to this big day. I don't really like the close season, don't really think it's necessary, but it does give us a nice break. It sort of refreshes the desire to be out on the river, and it gives us the opening day, which I think is fantastic. So yeah, we'll take the positives, even though I don't really like it, as I say. Right, so where am I? I'm on the River Severn. Now I'm on the upper Severn, I'm well above Shrewsbury. It's a stretch of water I've never seen before. I've just been doing a bit of a recce and I've finally decided on a swim, so come on, I'll show you the swim. You coming? Right, so this is the swim I'm going to fish tonight, this afternoon and tonight. These rods are not fishing yet. Now, as I said, I've had a good look along this stretch, and there's lots of areas that are 5, 6, 7, 8 feet. But just as it gets to this bush over here, that tree should I say, it drops down to a good 11, 12 foot. There's a nice big hole here. So I'm going to stick one sort of middle, maybe a bit further than the middle, and I'm going to put one sort of underneath this tree down here. Now it's quite early in the day, so I'm going to start out with just a single rod with a feeder on. So I'm going to get that sorted, and then I'll come back to you in a bit. Right, so I'm going to get just one rod out initially. It's just come up to 5 o'clock, so I've got about 5 hours of daylight, so I'm not going to start fishing with 2 rods initially. I'm just going to put out a feeder, a bit of ground bait and some 4 and 6 mil pellets, size 8 garlic pellet on a size 12 microbarbed hook. So I'm going to fish with this for a while. Hopefully that'll get some pellets in the swim and some scent going down the river, and hopefully if there are any fish around, might start to draw them into the swim ready for later. And then later on I'll go with 2 rods and I'll have a boilie probably on one and maybe meat on the other. So yeah, that'll be the plan. But initially just a single rod, as I say, just to start getting the swim going. Right, let's get this out then. Right, here we are. This is the first cast of the day, first cast of the new season. Here we go. Exactly where we wanted it. It's going to drop into that hole, and hopefully there's some fish there keen to have a nibble. There we go. That battery sounds a bit I might have to change the battery on that one. But, right, so we're out, we're fishing. Let's hope we catch a few. Think we might have a bite. Let's have a look. If we do have something on, it's not very big. We do have first fish of the new season. Yay! Not as big as we'd hoped though, but it's a start. Right, well, we'll get that back and get the feeder back out. We've been fishing about an hour now. I just had a small chublet. That was the first proper bite. A few knocks before that, but first fish of the new season. Now earlier today I did go to another stretch of water on the upper Severn, but actually in Wales. Quite a narrow stretch of river, and I think it was already rising due to the rain last night. I was already quite brown. There's a couple of pegs I like the look of. One of them was in a field that was full of caves, but I don't have any sticks or rope or anything to protect myself from them, so I didn't fancy that. The other peg was in another field, but the grass was really long and it was quite a walk, and I didn't fancy trying to get my barrow through that. So I decided to come here. Now I was going to come here tomorrow. Now I've never seen either of these stretches of water. I know what you're thinking. Probably a bit risky to go to 2 stretches of water you've never seen before at the start of the season. You'd be right. But I do like that sort of fishing. You know, I like the challenge and the uncertainty of exploring new stretches. You know, I've spent quite a lot of time today walking both stretches of river. It gives me an opportunity to identify potential pegs for the future. But I just like exploring and trying to find a peg that I think, you know, may contain some fish, rather than just dropping in on the tidal Trent and catching half a dozen. Now, I'm not knocking that. I mean, I do fish the tidal Trent, but at the start of the season it'd probably be quite busy, and I do like my fishing to be quiet and peaceful, very tranquil here. There's no one else here, and I do like that peace and quiet. For me, that's part of the reason why I go fishing, and I don't want to be sat in the middle of a dozen bivvies in a row. So as I said, I'm going to fish here tonight. Tomorrow I'm going to move further downstream. I'm possibly going to go to a stretch I fished at the start of last season, which is actually below Shrewsbury, so I guess technically that's the middle Severn. I don't know what pegs will be available, so I don't know whether it'll be a repeat peg or not. Hopefully I better find maybe a peg I've not fished before that I like the look of. But that's the plan. Fish here tonight and then move tomorrow. Now, one thing I've noticed already is there's a lot of debris coming down and leaves. I guess because the river's on the rise due to the heavy rain last night. So initially I put this feeder on the far side, but that didn't really work because of the debris. So I've dropped it down to my left. There's an overhanging tree, it's down there. Does beg the question, what am I going to do tonight? Because I was planning to put one across and one down. I don't know whether the one across is going to be able to stay out there long enough with the debris, but we'll have to wait and see. I might end up fishing both in close. It's not really what I want to do, but it may be all I can do, so we'll see. But hopefully I might catch 1 or 2 small ones before it's time to go with both rods later. Anyway, that's enough for now. I'm going to get this one recast, so I'll catch you later. Things are not going very well. I've just had that one little chublet and that was it. Because of all the rain we had last night, which was pretty heavy, the river is now rising, and it's rising pretty quickly as well. There's so much weed and debris coming down, it's almost impossible to fish now. Within 5 or 10 minutes the rods are either moving out of position or just bending round with the amount of weed on them. So I think tonight's going to be more camping by the river than actually fishing. I am still going to give it a go, but I'm not very hopeful. The river's boiling and swirling, and yeah, it looks pretty horrible now. I'll show you. Don't know how well you can pick it up on the video, but sort of down here, it's all swirling and boiling, and yeah, it wasn't like that at all when I came. So that's yeah, it's not looking good. What I'm still going to do is I'm going to put one rod. This rod here is going to go out over here somewhere and just see if I can get it to hold. I've got a 4-ounce lead. I have got a 5-ounce lead, but that's the biggest I've got, so we'll see. And what I'm going to do is down here, there's a good 6-7 foot just here, and it's sort of a little bit protected. There's a tree above me, and I think that tree is protecting this sort of inside line. So I've got some rod rests here. I'm going to put a rod and just drop a boilie 3 or 4 foot off the bank here, just as a, I don't know, you never know, you never know. I think it's unlikely, but I think it's worth a try. So that's going to be it. As I say, I'm really not very confident that I'm going to catch anything now tonight, but I'm here, so I might as well give it a go. So it'll be dark in about 20 minutes, so I'm just going to get myself set up for dark. So catch you later. We have a fish. Despite the awful weather, we have a chub. Amazing. Despite the awful conditions, we managed to hook a chub in the side. Right, we'll get it unhooked and then we can have a look at it. Right, well, we have our first fish. Despite the awful conditions, we managed to get the chub on that side rod, the one that was just off the bank. Here it is. Nice chub. 4 £7. Good chunky fish. Very welcome. Right, get it back. See if we can get another one. Good morning. Well, as I suspected last night, it was more camping by the river than actually fishing. The river kept on rising last night. It came up over a metre. There's so much debris coming down. It wasn't impossible. I mean, but half an hour and the rod was bent round double. So I fished till about 3 o'clock in the morning and then sort of gave up. The other rod in the side did manage to catch a fish. I mean, that one's literally fished just off the bank, and I managed to catch a 4 £7" chub on that one. So that was it. It's a very disappointing first night. Unfortunately, the monsoon rains that we had on the night of the 15th have sort of filled the river up. So now my dilemma is what to do today. I had planned to go just a bit further downstream, but I think I might just be chasing the floodwater. The other option I've got, I was thinking of going to the Derwent, but I haven't got the club card or key with me for there. I could get down to the Warwickshire Avon, and the Warwickshire Avon was very unkind to me last year, so we'll see. I'm going to pack up, just have me coffee, just have me breakfast, nice pot noodle, curry pot noodle. So I'm going to finish this. I'm going to pack up. I'm going to head downstream anyway to the other section I was thinking of fishing, have a look at the river there. If I don't fancy that, then I may well head to the Warwickshire Avon, but we'll see. Right, catch you later. Right, well, it's not exactly going according to plan. So as you know, last night I was on the Severn, nightmare with the weed and the river rising. So I moved to another stretch further down, but as I said this morning, I was effectively just chasing the floodwater. Got to the other stretch, there was about half a dozen anglers on, they're all struggling with the flow and the weed, so decided not to fish there. So I've made quite a journey, 70 odd miles, an hour and a half drive down to the Warwickshire Avon. Well, the Avon's got a few extra inches on, but it's looking pretty nice actually. Now I fished the Avon for the first time last year, or last season, for Barbel, and to be honest, the Avon kicked my butt. I think I fished about 6 times, never had a barbel. And I was pretty unlucky. Twice the river flooded, came over the bank, and I had to hastily pack away and leave. Another time, it was November I think, and the forecast at night was 5 or 6 degrees. Freezing fog descended, and I mean freezing. Everything was frozen, everything was white. Pack up and go home. So that was 3 abandoned sessions. I fished another one when it was in flood with just a lump of meat in the slacks for a few hours. And then at the back end of last season, conditions weren't great. It was the last chance I had, a few days before the end of the season. Most of the other rivers were still in flood. The Avon was coming down, so it was fishable, but conditions weren't great. It was cold. The river looked a horrible murky grey colour. I caught 6 chub, but no barbel. So I think I've probably only fished it once in reasonable conditions. That's my excuse anyway, and I'm sticking to it. So yeah, not good. So I'm back on the Avon again for the first time this season, obviously. I've dropped into a peg I've never fished before. So I'll show you the peg. So this is my peg. Got a nice sort of flow on the far side. The bit of foam is because there's a weir not far above me. And then we've got some reeds down here. So it looks decent. Flow looks a nice pace. I'm going to stick one sort of down the middle down here, sort of where these reeds are, and probably one over this far side. I think I'm going to put a bit of meat over there and a boilie down there. So that's the plan. So yeah, Session's really not going very well, but we'll give it a go here and see if we can find something. Right, well, it's now dusk, so it's going to start to get dark very soon. Do you like my new hat, by the way? It's a military style Barbel Society hat. I think it looks rather fetching, don't you? Anyway, both rods just gone back out, refreshed baits, PVA bags, both back on the same spots. No action this afternoon. Just before I recast, the one with the meat on had a couple of little nibbles by the looks of it, but no real action. No great surprise. It is quite a small river and it is quite clear, so yeah, it's really unlikely to get any action in the daytime, so as I say, no huge surprise. Anyway, hopefully when it gets dark there might be some fishes that come out and play. Hopefully see you later with a fish on the bank. I think we're in. I think it's gone in the reeds, possibly. Whatever it was in, it's out. It's in the net. We have a chub. Right, well here's that chub, £3 exactly, so not huge, but nevertheless first fish of the night, so very welcome. But let's get it back, get the rod back out and see if we can get another one. We're in. That went on quite a run. Get in that net, get in that net. At last we have an Avon Barbel. My word, we've waited some time for this. There we go. Oh, look at that. A nice Avon Barbel. Yes, get in. Yes, get in. Right, finally we have an Avon Barbel. Can't believe it. Finally got one. Here it is. It's a double as well. Look at that. £10 2 ounce. Oh, I'm so chuffed to finally get an Avon Barbel. Look at that. Oh, absolutely made up with that. The Severn might have been rubbish, but at least I've got this from the Avon. Oh, right, let's get it back. Right, well there it is, all £10 2oz of my first Avon barbel. It's been rested up for a bit now, so it's time for it to swim away. Come on, get your head up. There it goes, straight down to the bottom and off to fight another day. Thanks for popping in. Oh, that was really going. It's obviously a very powerful line bite. It was just going ping, 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 ping. I thought it was going to be a chub, but it must have been a liner. Disappointing. Right, well it's 1:45 in the morning now. I've only had the 2 fish, the chub and then that barbel at just over £10. So it's not been prolific, but I have to be honest, I'm really chuffed in catching that barbel. I've waited so long for an Avon barbel and finally managed to catch one. I just had a line bite on my left hand rod. It was pinging up and down, up and down, up and down, and the alarm was going, but there was nothing on the end. I put that one back out again, and a few minutes later again the end was pinging up and down. Didn't set the alarm off that time, but there must definitely be fish still around. It's just knocked again actually. And I've had a couple of knocks on the other one as well, so as I say, there must be a few fish around. Because it gets light this time of year quite early, I've only got about, what, 3 hours of darkness left, but I'm still hopeful I might catch 1 or 2 more before the end. So hopefully, yeah, hopefully you'll be seeing another few fish. Catch you later. Oh. We're in. Oops, shit, nearly in the water. Seems to be a bit misty. Right, another chub. Not bad fish, £3.11. Be good to try and get another barbel, but I'm still happy to catch these. Right, let's get it back, and as always, get that rod back out. Oh. I'm literally just putting that chub back. Now this one's gone. Blimey. One after the other. I'd say this feels like another chub. In the net. Another chub. Right, well we've just put that 311 chub back, and before we even got that rod back out, the other rod's gone, and we got this little fella. Only a small chub. I've not even weighed it, to be honest. It's only a couple of pounds, if that, maybe £1.5–2 £2. Anyway, I'm going to get it back and get both rods back out. Right, it's 3:20 now. Just another chub, an even smaller one. Look at that, like a miniature chub. It's probably about a pound. So yeah, let's get it back. Morning, nice cup of coffee. Well, that wasn't exactly a great start to the new season. It wasn't a complete disaster. So I set out on the 16th with this ambition of fishing 2 different locations on the Upper Severn. That didn't work out. Went to the first venue. It's quite small on the first venue, the River Severn. It's quite high up. It was just into Wales. It's probably no bigger than the Avon. But when I got there, it was brown, it was obviously rising, and it just didn't look great. So I moved on to what was going to be my second location. The river there is much wider, looks like the Severn. And though I knew the water was going to come up a bit, I didn't think it would come up as much as it did. It rose quite a lot, a good 4 foot at least. And with that brought down loads of debris and weed, and that was just awful, really, really difficult to fish. I did persevere and I managed to get a couple of chub, but it was virtually impossible at times. As soon as you cast in, the rod was bent round with weed. I actually caught the chub, the larger chub anyway, just dropped in the side. So not a great first night at all. Then made the decision to leave the River Severn and drive south down to the Warwickshire Avon, where I am now. I guess that proved to be a decent decision. I mean, the river here is in sort of fine condition, probably carrying a few extra inches, but no more than that. So last night I ended up with 4 chub and 1 barbel. So not great, but at least I was catching fish, I was getting line bites. It seemed quite busy considering I only caught 5 fish. Once it got properly dark, I started to get knocks and taps on the 2 rods. So I knew there was some fish about, and then about, I think it was about 10:30, 11:15, finally one of the rods went off, 3 pound chub. Nearly lost that actually in the reeds. And about an hour later, my right hand rod absolutely charged off. A good run downriver. Thought it was probably going to be a barbel, or it's going to have to be a big chub, but there are big chub here. Anyway, managed to get that in, and that was my first Warwickshire Avon barbel. And just over 10 pound as well. So really chuffed with that. That's been the savour really of this opening to the season. So yeah, very, very pleased with that. And then after that, another 3 chub. I had 2 that came pretty much together, a 3 pound fish, and then while I was putting that back, the other rod went, and that was, I didn't weigh that one, I think it was probably about 2 pound. And then about 3:30 this morning, a very small chub, about a pound. I mean, it can barely get the boil in its mouth, to be honest. And then of course it gets light pretty early, so once it got light, that was the end of the action. So that's it. So I say, not great, but that barbel did save the day. So I'm going to finish my coffee, get off home. So if you enjoyed the video, maybe subscribe, and I'll see you another day on the bank. Cheers.